14 in Skills Today, and we're going to start off with reading our reader story, The Band, which you can find on page 13.3 in your workbook, your kitty cat book. So find your kitty cat book, find page 13.3. The name of the story is The Band, and we're going to read that all together. So we'll start off. Reader fingers ready. The Band. Grace and Jill are in a band. Grace toots on her trumpet. Jill toots on her slide trombone. When the children started out, they did not sound too good. Grace and her trombone sounded like a sick moose. Jill and her trumpet sounded like a flock of geese. The two of them made quite a racket. It was so bad that Mr. Spencer would yell, "I can't take it." Then he would run out of the house and hide in the barn. But since then, the children have gotten a lot better, just as Mr. Vance said they would. Mr. Vance is the band master. He spends a lot of time with the children, helping them get better. All right, flip your page. Oh, that's crooked. Let's fix that. In the spring, there is a band concert in the park. Mr. Vance gets up on the bandstand and waves his hands. The band starts belting out a jazz song. They sound good. Grace hits the notes on her trumpet. Jill's trombone sounds good too. The drummer is drumming up a storm. The band is knocking it out of the park. Mr. Vance has a big smile on his face. He is proud of Grace and Jill. Mr. Spencer smiles too. He has gotten tired of spending so much time in the barn. All right, now let's turn to page 10.3 in our kitty cat book. That's where we're going to find the questions to the band. And I will get those up on the board for us. There we go. All right, and that is page 10.3 in your kitty cat book. And we will start with number 1. So make sure you have a pencil. Let me grab my marker. Number 1. What did Grace and Jill sound like at the start? So if you look back at your reader story on page 13.3, it tells us that at the start, Grace and Jill sounded like Jill sounded like a sick moose and a flock of geese at the start. So what did Grace and Jill sound like at the start? Remember, we want to restate the question in our answer. So we will start with Grace and Jill, capital G, and capital J for Jill because that's a name. We always capitalize names. Grace and Jill sounded like a sick moose and a flock we used all of those words. We added ed to sound because we put it in past tense. We put sounded. But since we used all of those words in our answer, we know that we restated the question in the answer. We used capitals, punctuation, we wrote neatly with finger spaces, and we spelled all of our words correctly. And we have learned so many sounds in first grade already that you should be able to spell all of these words correctly based on what we've learned. Now, we all make mistakes, so it's okay if you make a mistake. But this is a good time to practice all the rules we've learned about all of our sounds, okay? We're not going to put a page number because we used our reader story from our kitty cat book. So just don't worry about a page number. All right, number 2. How did Mr. Spencer act when the children started out? So this is our question. How? How did he act? How did Mr. Spencer act when the children started out? Well, if we look back at our story, we know that Mr. Spencer would yell and hide in the barn when the children started out. So let's restate our question and our answer, and let's write a complete sentence using capitals and punctuation. So we will start with Mr. Spencer, capital M, Mr. Spencer would yell and hide in the barn. Would yell and hide in the barn when the children started out. When the children started out. And a period at the end. All right. How did Mr. Spencer act when the children started out? Mr. Spencer would yell and hide in the barn when the children started out. So we used all of the words with the check in our answer, so we know we restated the question in our answer. We used capitals for the beginning of the sentence and on names or proper nouns. We used punctuation at the end. We wrote neatly and used finger spaces, and we spelled all of our words correctly. All right, good job, guys. Let's flip our paper over. Let me make this a little bigger so we can see the whole page. There we go. All right. Now, I know some of you don't write as fast as I do, and that's okay. You can put your answer in your own words if you want to, as long as you answer the question and follow all of our rules for answering questions with capitals, punctuation, correct spelling, finger spaces, and neat handwriting. As long as you follow all of our rules, you don't have to worry about your answer matching mine exactly, okay? But if you're using my answer as a guide and you need to pause the video for a moment to make sure your answer is matching with mine, that's perfectly fine too. Just pause the video for a moment while the answer is still on the board, and you can use it as your guide, okay? All right, number 3, who is Mr. Vance? Who is Mr. Vance? Well, that's a simple question with a simple answer. Mr. Vance is the band master, and that's on the back side. No, that's on the front side of our reader story. On the bottom paragraph, it says, Mr. Vance is the band master. Simple question, simple answer. Capital M for Mr. Vance is the band master. Period. So, who is Mr. Vance? Mr. Vance is the bandmaster. That's all you have to say. You don't have to make it elaborate. You don't have to add anything to it. Simple question, simple answer. That's all I'm looking for. Okay. We don't have a page number. Describe the band concert. Let's think of what was the band concert like? Let's flip our paper over to the back side. Let's see. It says they sound good. Grace hits the notes on her trumpet. Jill's trombone sounds good too. The drummer is drumming up a storm. The band is knocking it out of the park. So, describe the band concert. I would say the band sounded good and they knocked it out of the park. Now, when somebody says they knocked it out of the park, that means they did a great job, like a home run in a baseball game. Knocking it out of the park is a very good compliment. So, to describe the band concert, we will write Grace and Jill, capital G, and capital J for Jill, because that's her name. Grace and Jill sound good at the band concert. Period. The band knocks, there's our K-N for our N sound, knocks it out of the park. Period. Okay, the reason we did two sentences for this one is because it says describe the band concert. So we want to tell them what we know about the band concert. We know that Grace and Jill sound good at the band concert, and it said the band knocks it out of the park. Now, you can put whatever you want to put as your answer. You could put Grace hits the notes on her trumpet, and Jill's trombone sounds good. Okay, that would be fine too. Your answer does not have to match mine exactly, but it needs to be accurate. Okay, so you can put something different. It's okay as long as it's accurate according to what the story said. All right, great job, guys. Let's move on to our next part, which we are going to review our spelling sounds. So I'm going to put the spelling trees up for us, and we will review those sounds. Let's start with the S. Here's our sound spelling tree. So we have learned that the S sound, see if I can make that bigger for you. We have learned that the S sound, the S, can be spelled with one S, as in snack, sit, sun, and song. It can be spelled with two S's if it's at the end of a word, or in the middle if we add a suffix, as in kiss, dress. It can be spelled with a C, as in cell, scent, and pencil. It can be spelled with a CE, as in prince, dance, and voice. And it can be spelled with an SE, as in house and goose. And there's always going to be a few odd ducks thrown in there. Sometimes you'll run across them. But these are the ones that we are learning in first grade. S can be spelled single S, double S, single C, CE, and SE. Now let's look over our spelling tree for the N sound, the N sound. All right, we have learned that the N sound, can be spelled with a single N, as in nut, scent, next. It can be spelled with a double N, as in dinner, running, fanning, and it can be spelled with a KN if it's at the beginning of a word, as in knot, knit, and knife. And if it's spelled with a KN, as in knot, knit, and knife, that K doesn't make a sound. It's a silent K, okay? So those are our spellings for the N sound that we've learned. Single N, double N if it's in the middle of a word, and KN on some of our words that begin with the N sound, okay? So, with that review, I want you guys to find 11.3 in your kitty cat book. It looks like this. I'll put it up on the board for us. 11.3. We have words and pictures to match our words with. All right, there we go. Okay, we have words that help us practice our S sounds and our N sounds, okay? Let's go over our words first. We'll go over those together. Scent, and they have bolded the spellings for the words that we've been using. So they bolded the C in scent. We know it makes the S sound if it's bolded. They bolded the KN in knot, so we know that that KN makes the N sound because it's bolded. They have bolded in the word dance, they bolded the CE. So if it's bold and it's a CE, we know it makes the S sound, okay? So any letters that are bolded are either going to make the S sound or the N sound on this worksheet, okay? They're giving us some hints to help us get really familiar with the way we're spelling these sounds. So let's go over our words. Sit, knot, dance, goose, mouse, knee, fence, prince, and moose. So we're going to write the correct word under the picture. So number 1 right here, what is this? Yell it out. A goose. Very good. Find goose. Write goose neatly on your lines. Use your 3 lines. They help you to form your letters the correct size and correct ways. Then you can mark goose out. All right, this one, what is this? Yell it out. Good job. That's a fence. Find fence. Write it neatly on the line. And then you can mark it out. I'll do one more with you. This is an arrow pointing to a knee. Very good. Find the word knee. It's right here. We're going to write it on the line. All right, I'll keep going with you. We'll do a few more together. What is this? Some people might say rat, but we don't have rat as an option. So if rat's not up here, we can't go with rat. This would be a mouse. So let's write mouse really neatly. Then we can mark it out. And this one, these are the words we have left. Scent, knot, dance, prince, and moose. That is a moose. Good job. Write it neatly on the line. All right, we have scent, knot, dance, and prince left. What is this? He's got a little crown on, so that would make him a, yell it out, prince. Good job. distance, we're going to write it on the line. And then mark it out. Alright, I want you guys to do these last three all by yourself. Okay? You have sit, not, and dance left. Write the correct word under the correct picture. And then we'll flip it over if we have a backside. And we do not have a backside. Lucky you, no backside on that worksheet. So after you finish that, I want you guys to grab a piece of paper, or if you have a dry erase marker and a whiteboard, just something. You can pause the video if you need to grab a piece of paper. It can be scrap paper, it can be regular paper, it's up to you. Let's just do a quick spelling test. If you have a whiteboard, that's fine too. Just write the word on your whiteboard and then you can erase as you need to. This is just a spelling test as in practice, okay? So, our first spelling word, sun. Write the word sun. If you need to segment it and decode it, sun. You can do that, that's okay. Number 2, the word is kiss. Number 2 is kiss. Remember our sound, if it comes at the end of a word, remember how we spell it. If it's at the end of a word, kiss. Number 3, this one has one of our new spellings in it for the sound. Number 3 is cent, as in 1 cent. 1 penny is 1 cent. Number 3 is cent. Number 4, this also has one of our new spellings for the sound. Number 4 is prince. Prince. Remember how we spell the sound if it's at the end of a word? Prince. Number 5, jazz. Jazz. Number 6, pigs. Not 1 pig, but 2 pigs. Pigs. Number 7, zip. Zip up your jacket. Zip. Number 8, tricky word, here. Number 8 is our tricky word, here. Number 9, dresses. Number 9 is dresses. She has 3 pink dresses and 1 purple dress. Dresses. Last one, number 10, running. Running. He was running as fast as he could toward the finish line. Running. Alright guys, that's excellent practice for you. I hope you've had a great week. I hope you have a wonderful spring break next week, and I will see you when we're back. Bye guys.